I've always been a bit melancholy, even from when I was younger. And I've always had this sort of ongoing thought process that this good thing will come to an end soon. I think it was a combination of me not allowing myself to be upset about things that had affected me, me not talking to people because I just kept it all to myself.
Why did you keep it to yourself?
I was very concerned that I'd become a burden to my family and to my friends. My parents had no idea that I had depression until I went missing.
Can we cast your mind back to August 2019? Because I think by your own admission, you were in a very dark place then. What are your recollections and thoughts of that time now, reflecting upon it?
I think that it was a long time coming. I don't think it was a sudden process. I didn't really acknowledge that I had depression. I think your emotions are so intense that logic seems to get pushed aside a lot. So it's very difficult for me to pinpoint exactly when things got really bad. I contacted my very good friend Claire, and I said to her that I felt like I needed to go away for a bit, felt like I needed to leave the island. And she said, "Oh, are you all right? Like, what's going on?" And I said, "I don't know anymore." And I said, "I just feel like I need out. I can't deal with this anymore." I wasn't well at all. I was disassociating, which means that I was kind of having, I don't want to say out of body experience, but I wasn't really in control anymore.
How have you started to rebuild your life from there? Because you're obviously, although I'm sure there are still episodes, in fact there are, you seem in a much better place now collectively. Is that fair?
Yes, that is fair. The subsequent months I was in this sort of depression where it felt like I didn't know where I was anymore. Again, it was disassociating. And I didn't know how to get out of it. And I remember saying that I didn't feel like I could fight anymore. I felt tired. I felt worn out. There came a point in January when, again, I went missing. And I remember my mum saying to me, "You're very, very precious to us. And we want to support you." And that meant a lot to me. And I took that and I tried to keep that really firm in my mind. You know, my mum and my dad don't want me to take my life. They want me here. So I set out and I went online. I looked at books. I contacted various different people who I knew could possibly help. And I tried everything because I realised that I needed to be here for my son. Me and his dad are the only people who know Thomas and know him inside out. And I can't not be in that equation. I have to be there. I know now that I have to allow myself to get upset about things. I'm very much a person who's very stiff upper lip, and I want to carry on with things. I don't want things to get at me.
Bottle it up.
Yeah, and that's not the right approach for me, as it turns out. I have to set myself a time where I can either let myself cry or be feeling bitter or angry about things. And when in situations that come up now, if something upsets me, I let myself be upset about it. I don't go, "Oh well, I didn't deal with all of the difficult situations that were going on in my life." I just kept going, "I'm not dealing with that." When things don't work out for me, I get very angry with myself. Very angry with myself.
You're your harshest critic, eh?
Yeah, and I don't get angry with anybody else. So it's very much internalised, and that's probably why I didn't speak to other people either.
Do you still have those moments? Those negative thoughts? And how do you deal with them?
Some days are better than others. If I'm severely going to struggle that day, if I aim to do one thing that day, and it can be something really, really small, it can be get out of bed, it can be make myself a meal, it can be something very, very small. I try and do one thing so that the next day it motivates me to do something else. It's always little things in like working towards a much bigger picture. There are other days when I'm absolutely fine, but it's always sort of there. But some days I'm really close to the edge and some days I'm much further away.
How have you got to the stage you're at now where there are more good days in theory than bad days?
I would say that diary keeping is essential. And I'm talking about good days and bad days, but mainly the good days, because you can look back and say, actually, I had good days. The other thing that's been important is labelling my thought processes. So saying, how did I get to this really awful feeling? And I go back and I kind of say, okay, so the original problem was that somebody said something that sounded a little bit off with me. And then I've got to this point where I'm kind of thinking, this person hates me. Whereas actually, if I go back, that's not the case, but it takes a lot of work to get to that point. It's a slow process. I always think of it that it's a journey, and once you decide to take that first step, which I believe is talking to somebody, you can't go back because you've already made that initial step. There may be times when you feel like you veered off the track a bit, but you'll always come back to where you left off. So you're always moving forward. That's how I try and think of it in my head.
What do you do now to take care of yourself?
I clock in with a counsellor. I book in every 2 weeks or every month or so, just so that I have that opportunity to talk. So even if I'm not feeling too bad, I have this opportunity to talk to somebody and just let it all out. And it doesn't matter if it's about, not very much. If I'm really bad, I tell my mum or my dad, I just say, Luke, I'm struggling today. So now that I've opened up about it, people are aware of it, they can be more involved in it, and I don't feel so alone anymore. I've got phone numbers in my phone for any critical moments that I might have. I stay in contact with my wonderful GP. I get in touch with her if I'm really struggling.
Communication is key then.
Absolutely.
If there's one bit of advice that you would have to anybody who's struggling, what would it be?
Give everything a go. I made a sort of psychological contract with myself and said that I won't go to such measures again until I tried everything. So if one thing doesn't work, try something else. Now, obviously, the things that I've mentioned, they may not agree with everybody, they may not suit everybody, but it's about finding your thing and about finding what works for you. Give them a try for a little while. If they don't work for you, try something else, but don't give up.
Lasers and holograms and digital audio sound. Production and robots, wasting people, saving pounds. I got a friend who's fighting to save the whale, the trees, the skies. You gotta hold on to your mind. Hold on to your mind. Recession, depression, the cog still turns the wheel. The plastic exploded, now they'll make you pay for real. I met a girl, a sociological test.